I mean, obviously, there's so many things that I'd like to ask, but I'm going to focus on the digital divide for the most part because it's so stark on tribal lands. I mean, given what's happening with COVID, the lack of reliable high-speed internet means you're left out of healthcare services, education, employment opportunities, civic engagement, and it's just unacceptable, in my opinion. So let me start with President Nez. I'm concerned, like you, that the lack of connectivity will put disadvantaged children further behind in their education. In the Moving Forward Act, we allocated $5 billion through the FCC's E-rate program for schools and libraries to provide Wi-Fi hotspots and other connected devices to families that don't have internet access. And it has a specific guarantee of funding for tribal schools and libraries. So let me ask you initially, if that became law, would schools and families in Navajo Nation benefit, if you would?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the question, Chairman and members of the committee. Absolutely. The Navajo students, the Navajo people would benefit on getting high-speed internet access locally. But our goal here on the Navajo Nation is to reach more into the rural areas, into the house. With this COVID-19 right now, Chairman and members of the committee, we are encouraging our Navajo people to shelter in place. We have stay-at-home orders. So if people are staying home and they don't have internet connectivity, they will have to go to these libraries or chapter houses to get internet access, which may, get them exposed to the virus. So there is so much uncertainty here. We all know there's no vaccine, there's no cure for COVID-19. And so our focus here on the Navajo Nation is try to get high-speed internet into the homes where students could connect to their schools and turn in their homework, also telehealth, as well as, we're in a closure right now. The Navajo Nation government is closed. And so a lot of our employees are working from home, and it all is based on how much monies or how much resources could be allocated to get high-speed internet closer to the home. And lastly, I appreciate what was mentioned by Ms. Thomas. We've been talking about funding, we've been talking about projects, but what we really should be focusing our attention on and to get these projects done quickly is to reevaluate federal laws, policies, and regulations. Those are those no-cost changes that can occur so projects can get done quickly and complete. And with the CARES Act funding, the deadline is December 31st. We didn't get the first allocation of the CARES Act fund. Tribes throughout the country didn't get that until 3 months ago. And then 3 weeks ago, we finally got that 40% of the CARES Act funding. And so I'm asking chairman and members of this committee to lead the charge in putting into legislation an extension of the CARES Act funding for tribes, maybe a full year to December 31st of 2021. And many of you know, lawmakers, that projects don't move as quickly in Indian country, and I think that would give us some time to get these projects underway. Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you. Well, I have a minute left. Let me ask Chairwoman Sage, again, in the Moving Forward Act, we have $80 billion to fund high-speed broadband deployment to underserved areas, preference for tribal lands. Do you think that broadband deployment is contemplated by the Moving Forward Act? Would that help the Ute tribe, and what kind of broadband investment would help if not? But I know I only got about 30 seconds left here, so as quickly as you can.
Okay. Well, yes, the tribe would support the act. It's clear that funding is sorely needed for broadband deployment for our communities who need it most. We're glad this issue is receiving attention and legislative effort. For example, Senator Ben Bennett from Colorado for recently introducing the Bridge Act which would include $1 billion for tribes for broadband deployment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman.